You were never a difficult child.
That was the problem. Have you ever noticed that you can feel the mood of a room the second you walk into it, before a single word is said? You learn to read a slammed cupboard, a certain kind of silence, the exact weight of footsteps coming down a hallway. While other kids were learning to play, you were learning to predict. Everyone called you mature, responsible, an old soul. They meant it as the highest compliment. They had no idea they were describing a wound. Because you didn't grow up fast. Something inside you did, and it has never once been allowed to stand down. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you the exact mechanism that turned a frightened kid into the most capable, most dependable, most exhausted person in every room they walk into. And, at the very end, I'll tell you the one thing that finally lets the alarm switch off. Let's name what actually happened to you. Psychologists have a word for it: parentification. In 1967, a family therapist named Salvador Minuchin coined it to describe a specific kind of role reversal, a family quietly handing a child the job of being the adult. Not playing house, running it. Picture this. It's a school night. You're 9, maybe 10. You're standing on a stool at the stove because someone has to make dinner, and it isn't going to be the grown-up in the next room. You're listening for the sound of their mood through the wall. You already know that if you get tonight right, the house stays calm. If you get it wrong, it doesn't. So you get it right. You always get it right. That's not a chore. That's a job interview you can never fail, running every single day for years. And here's the part most people miss. There are two versions of this. The first is doing the adult tasks, the cooking, the bills, raising your own brothers and sisters. The second is quieter, and it leaves deeper marks. You became the adult's emotional support, their therapist, their mood manager, the one who absorbed the feelings nobody else in that house was willing to hold. You weren't raised, you were recruited. But here's what nobody tells you about why a child ever takes that job. No one forces it with words. The child volunteers, because the alternative is unbearable. When the people who are supposed to hold you can't, you're left with two options: fall apart and pray someone catches you, or become so useful, so attuned, so low maintenance, that you earn a place in a home that didn't seem to have room for your needs. You chose the second one, every time, and it worked. That is the quiet tragedy of it. It actually worked. You got praised, you got relied on, you became indispensable, and a child's brain reads indispensable as safe. So it doubled down. It got very, very good at the one strategy that kept the temperature in that house from boiling over: anticipating other people. You learned a language most adults never fully master. You learned to feel what someone else was feeling before they felt it themselves, not because you were gifted, because you could not afford not to. Here's where it stops being a personality trait and starts being biology. At the University of Wisconsin-Madison, a researcher named Seth Pollak ran a now famous set of studies around 2002 on children raised in frightening homes. He showed them faces that slowly morphed from neutral into an emotion, and he measured how much information each child's brain needed before it could call what it was seeing. The result was startling. These children could detect anger faster than other kids, not slightly faster. They identified it before the face had even finished forming, with less information than anyone else required. And when Pollak measured their brain waves, the response to an angry face was dramatically stronger, and it lasted dramatically longer. Their brains had built a dedicated alarm for one specific signal, threat. They even read blank, neutral faces as angry. Think about what that means. The hypervigilance you've been calling anxiety isn't a flaw in you. It's expertise. You became a world-class threat detector because once, detecting threat early was the difference between a calm night and a terrible one. Pollak described it as a brilliant adaptation, and then he described it as something else, an emotional albatross. But here's the part that changes everything. That alarm was supposed to be temporary. It was built for a specific house, a specific danger, a specific chapter of your life. The danger ended. The alarm did not. So now, you're an adult, and you are still scanning. You walk into a meeting and instantly know who's irritated. Your partner's voice shifts half a degree, and you're already bracing before you even know why. You're exhausted, and you can't explain it, because on paper, your life is fine. The threat is gone. Your body never got the memo. Picture this. It's an ordinary Tuesday. You're somewhere in your 30s, sitting at your own kitchen table, in your own home, and your phone lights up with a text that just says, "Hey, can we talk later?" No context, no tone. And in under a second, your stomach drops, your mind sprints through every possible thing you might have done wrong, and you've already half-written 3 apologies for crimes you haven't committed. Nothing has actually happened. You just time-traveled instantly back to a hallway you walked out of 20 years ago. That is the alarm, still armed, still scanning a house that burned down a long time ago. This is why you became hyper-independent. Dr. Jonice Webb, who pioneered the study of childhood emotional neglect, kept finding the same cluster of traits in these adults. People who pride themselves on needing no one, who experience asking for help as weakness, who can name everyone else's feelings instantly but go blank when asked about their own. You didn't choose independence. Needing someone once wasn't safe. So your nervous system quietly filed, "I need help," under danger. And there's a sting underneath all of it. The psychiatrist Ivan Bossor-Meninagi called it destructive entitlement, the buried sense that the world owes you something for everything you carried before you were ready. You overgive, then you resent. You are still trying to collect on a debt that the people in your adult life never agreed to. In 2011, a meta-analysis led by Lisa Hooper pooled 12 studies, nearly 2,500 people, and confirmed the link between this childhood role reversal and depression and anxiety in adulthood. Read that again. The maturity everyone admired in you came with a measurable bill. But there's a piece of this that almost no one talks about, and it isn't psychological at all. It's physical. In recent years, scientists studying early life adversity found that children raised under chronic stress show accelerated biological aging, earlier puberty, faster movement on the epigenetic clocks that track how old your cells actually are. Some of this work was published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences in 2025. Sit with that for a second. "You grew up too fast" was never just a figure of speech. Your body took it literally. It kept the receipt. So what do you actually do with all of this? You don't become helpless. You don't throw away the competence. It's real. It's yours. And it has carried you and probably half the people you love. The work is smaller and stranger than that. It's teaching a 30-year-old nervous system a fact it has never believed: that the house is finally quiet, that the footsteps in the hallway are not coming, that you are allowed to set the alarm down, not because you've gone weak, but because the war is genuinely over. It starts smaller than you think. It starts the first time you let a sentence like, "I'm not okay," leave your mouth without immediately following it with, "but I'll handle it." It starts when you let someone help you and don't spend the next 3 days repaying them so the ledger stays even. It starts when you notice the scanning, and instead of obeying it, you tell your own nervous system the truth, that this person is not that person, and this room is not that room. The child who learned to parent everyone around them never got parented. Here is the part that matters most. You are the only one who can finally do it now. Not perform calm. Feel it. Let one person carry one thing for you and survive the strange, almost unbearable discomfort of being held. That discomfort isn't a sign you're doing it wrong. It's the sign you're finally doing the thing you were never allowed to do. And if any of this felt like being read out loud, there's a reason the most capable people are so often the loneliest, and it runs deeper than anything we touch today. The next video is about the kids who learned that love had to be earned, and why, as adults, they keep choosing the exact people who make them work for it. It's already waiting for you.